that?
Not me, I'm out.
I heard another rumor that you were bitten by a king cobra.
Yeah, I was. But after 5 days of agonizing pain, the cobra died.
Hey guys, Chuck Norris is undoubtedly a true martial arts master. I mean, why else would he be in this book, Martial Arts Masters? But he's more than that, much more than that. He's a cultural phenomenon, a true living legend. He's the embodiment of an internet meme. But why? How exactly did this happen? How did Chuck Norris become the internet's most popular and famous meme? In this video, we'll talk about how it actually happened. I'll share some fun Chuck Norris memes as well. But make sure to like this video and give it a thumbs up. Otherwise, Chuck Norris may very well cancel you. Just like the left does to anyone in Hollywood who has conservative political views. Well, at least they try to. You should probably know the left can't cancel Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris cancels the left. Make sure to stay until the end of the video, by the way, because I'll share my wife's personal story with Chuck Norris, which probably ended up deflating his ego. It could very well have been his kryptonite. But I'm pretty sure this footnote in history will be scrubbed from historical text so as not to tarnish the legend of Chuck Norris. I mean, how dare she? Speaking of kryptonite, did you know that Chuck Norris never needed it when he fought Superman? The loser of that fight, by the way, had to wear his underwear on the outside. It should be no surprise that Chuck beat the Man of Steel, because when dealing with Chuck Norris, even the Terminator's been terminated.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
So how exactly did Chuck Norris become the go-to tough guy of internet jokes? Believe it or not, it all started with Vin Diesel on the somethingawful.com internet forums back in 2005.
Not for me. Not for me.
The same year Vin Diesel's hit film The Pacifier saw release, Ian Spector, founder of the Chuck Norris Facts website, frequented the forum on somethingawful.com and became engrossed with conversation about the love-hate relationship with Vin Diesel and his legion of fans as well as haters. Spector was fascinated with how divisive people were about Vin Diesel and how Vin Diesel was either loved for his badassness or mocked for it, and how The Pacifier caused most people to shift to the latter camp. Boy, speaking of divisive, I wonder what Spector thinks about the 2020 election, by the way. Members of the forum started to attribute strange facts about Diesel, amusing but often impossible feats of strength, intelligence, and prowess. This sparked an idea for Spector, who was a college freshman at the time. He created a website that generated random quotes about Vin Diesel and posted the link to the forums. Within 24 hours, the website received over 20,000 hits. After several months, the audience began to grow tired of poking fun at the Pacifier star.
Johnny, leave him alone, man. He's had enough. On the side when he's had enough, man.
So Spector polled his audience in search of a new man to focus the amazing facts to be generated by the website's script. Spector says the poll he put up had a dozen options to pick from as well as a write-in option. Spector knew very little about Chuck Norris at the time, but decided to give the people what they wanted. It's hard to say whether or not any voter fraud was involved. Regardless, Chuck Norris became the new it man and the focus of the site. He was a great candidate, as the underlying theme in most of his movies would see him face near insurmountable odds, rely on his fists, feet, and sometimes many weapons to survive and prevail. For example, in The Octagon, Chuck Norris took down an entire camp full of ninjas and proved he's truly the alpha ninja. His show Walker, Texas Ranger, which aired from 1993 until 2001, was broadcast in over 100 countries and had solid ratings. It followed the same classic formula of his movies, except the odds weren't just insurmountable, they were sometimes downright absurd. For example, Walker became a principal in a school, lost his vision but was still able to beat people to a pulp, similar to Van Damme in Bloodsport. Checked himself into a prison to bring down a fighting ring, which is similar to Van Damme if you combine Death Warrant and In Hell, and fought a bear, kind of like Van Damme in Lionheart. I like to bring up Van Damme in any conversation when talking about legends, by the way. It's very likely that Jean-Claude Van Damme is the only man to have ever survived a training session with Chuck Norris. No wonder why he's our hero.
Bruce and I worked out together for about 3 years prior to him leaving for Hong Kong to pursue a movie career.
Okay, so maybe 2 men survived. Make sure to check out my video of why Van Damme is the best on-screen fighter ever, by the way. Linked in the description below. It's recommended by Chuck Norris himself. But going back to the absurdity of Walker, Texas Ranger, Conan O'Brien used to often make fun of the show.
All I have to do is pull this Walker, Texas Ranger lever right here, and immediately we get clips, and it's been a great thing. We've been having a good time. And
You did a friend of mine. Did I? Close friend? Golly, that's awful. Isn't that awful?
Oh, yeah, Vince, that's just awful.
which likely gave people the idea to vote in Chuck Norris to use as a new mascot for Ian Spector's Tough Guy Random Facts generator in 2005. By early 2006, the website was getting close to 20 million page views a month, which turned Chuck Norris into an even bigger global phenomenon. It's no surprise that the publishing industry as well as Chuck Norris himself both took notice of Ian's website. Initially, Chuck's feelings were mixed. He found several of the so-called facts humorous, but hoped people could separate truth from fiction. Chuck said, "People everywhere have asked me, what do you think of all those Chuck Norris facts? My answer is always the same. Some are funny, some are pretty far out, and most are just promoting harmless fun in times of laughter." Ian Spector would actually meet Chuck Norris face-to-face in 2006 at the former karate champ's request. The meeting was friendly and involved Chuck and his wife along with Norris as business manager and lawyer. A year later, in 2007, Gotham Books released The Truth About Chuck Norris, 400 Facts About the World's Greatest Human. It was an instant hit and only further cemented Chuck's legendary status. Speaking of books, it's been said that Chuck kept a diary, though very few people know about it. It's called the Guinness Book of World Records, also known as Whatever You Can Do, Chuck Can Do Better, and has a record to prove it. As far as Spector's book, Chuck Norris felt he had no choice but to file suit against Penguin USA, the parent company of Gotham Books, claiming, quote, trademark infringement, unjust enrichment, and privacy rights.
What started out as a joke has turned out to be a disaster.
The lawsuit alleged that some of the facts were downright racist, lewd, or portrayed Chuck Norris engaged in illegal activities. The lawsuit said defendants have misappropriated and exploited Mr. Norris's name and likeness without authorization for their own commercial profit. By the way, when the Incredible Hulk gets really angry, he turns into Chuck Norris. Boy, I'd really hate to see what happens to Chuck Norris when he gets really angry.
See that cloud up there? Looks like a bear, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Norris would quietly drop the lawsuit the following year in 2008, prior to releasing his own version, the official Chuck Norris Fact Book, 101 of Chuck's favorite facts and stories. Chuck would later show greater appreciation for Ian Spector's legendary jokes and said, "I tell you, it's been quite amazing to me." Chuck says he has emails from Iraq and Afghanistan from soldiers who exchange the jokes as they go from post to post and that it's good for morale. Ian Spector would actually follow his 2007 book up with several more. 2008's Chuck Norris vs. Mr. T, 400 Facts About the Baddest Dudes in the History of Ever. 2010's Chuck Norris Cannot Be Stopped, 400 all-new facts about the man who knows neither fear nor mercy.
I can't hear you!
Strike first, strike hard, no mercy, sir!
Speaking of fear, when the Boogeyman goes to sleep every night, he checks his closet for Chuck Norris. Chuck has an inspirational message for the Boogeyman, by the way.
Running from your fear is more painful than facing it.
These books are really funny, by the way. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to pick them up on Amazon. In 2011, Spector would come out with The Last Stand of Chuck Norris, 400 all-new facts about the most terrifying man in the universe. And finally in 2012, he'd come out with Chuck Norris, Longer and Harder, the complete chronicles of the world's deadliest, sexiest, and beardiest man. Speaking of beards, here's Chuck Norris's own favorite fact.
Here's my favorite one. Yeah. They wanted to put Chuck Norris's face on Mount Rushmore, but the granite wasn't hard enough for his beard.
I can only imagine what history books will say 1,000 years from now when talking about Chuck Norris. How will they separate fact from fiction? Let's say there's a nuclear fallout, a great reset, and humanity has forgotten its past and archaeologists are only now rediscovering it. They excavate a time capsule filled with Viking Samurai's own collection of films and books and happen upon Ian Spector's legendary text, The Truth About Chuck Norris, 400 Facts About the World's Greatest Human. They take it as a gospel truth and find out where Chuck was buried, extract his DNA and clone the man. He becomes a new messiah and savior of the new world. I could totally see that happening. But the truth always eventually comes to light. As far as my wife's Chuck Norris story goes, this happened when she was 19. It was in the San Fernando Valley in California. She worked at the Coffee Bean at the time, and Chuck Norris would come in. Her manager, a guy in his 40s, was all googly-eyed, and he was talking to Chuck Norris while she was making his coffee. So Chuck Norris pulls out a card, it was like the size of a playing card, she said, of a picture of him in a karate uniform doing a kick, signed it, gave it to the manager, gave it to a couple of other employees. So my wife's making his coffee. By the time she finishes it, she hands it to him. Chuck Norris has another one of those pictures out, assuming she wants it. She declines. He smiles, kind of taken aback, then puts it back in his wallet. Now, in her defense, she said her dad made her watch Chuck Norris movies growing up. She thought he was the worst, cheesiest actor, just was not a fan, wanted nothing to do with the autograph. She said after the fact she thought about it and said, oh, that was probably kind of mean. I actually wish she would have taken it because I would have loved to have that autograph myself, but It is what it is. Now, had that been Jean-Claude Van Damme and she pulled that, I would have never married her. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what your favorite Chuck Norris meme is.